Don't interrupt me, Molly, because I want to get to the bigger point.
Sure.
The bigger point is this. I don't like the question you posed to Wendy. Of course they shouldn't do it. Of course they shouldn't do it, Wendy. I was saying, might they? And that's where I go to you. Might they? We know they shouldn't. You play to win the game.
Yeah.
But are they considering, might they consider avoiding the Denver Nuggets at all costs, Shannon?
No, I don't think you, because it goes against everything that you're taught to do as a professional athlete, or as any athlete. You play to win the games. I think the thing is, do I think the Nuggets had a strategic meltdown against San Antonio because they knew in the second round they would possibly be matched up against the Clippers or the Mavericks, which posed them a huge threat? Sure, I believe that's what happened. But I believe the Lakers.
You think they botched that game? That was a disastrous loss for them. There's no way. They don't feel they're not afraid of anybody.
Exactly. You up 20 points against only Wemby, and you lose with the guy that's going to be a three-time MVP, and you lose that game, Wemby? Come on now.
No way, Shannon. No way.
Exactly. No way. That's exactly what I'm saying, Wendy.
That was a devastating loss. That was as big of a loss as there's been in the last month in the NBA.
The whole year. The entire.
Okay. This is such nonsense on both sides, both Shannon and Steph. On one side, Shannon, Stephen Amman, not Steph. On one side, Shannon says, no, that's what they shouldn't do that. They won't do that. It's everything that they're against in terms of for the Lakers losing to try to miss out on the Nuggets. And then implies this is what the Nuggets did on purpose because they didn't want to face the Clippers or whoever. That is such nonsense. Why are you saying that one team won't do that, but this other team will? That makes no sense. Is it because LeBron's your boy? He's your daddy? Like I don't understand what you're trying to get at. So that's just a nonsense reply from Shannon Sharpe and kind of a disgrace from my viewpoint, especially coming from an ex-athlete. Like, what are you doing? What are you even saying? And then Stephen A. trying to be all like, I know they shouldn't do it. I know they shouldn't do it. But will they? But will they? And I just think like this question is insane to me. Should the Lakers try to avoid the Nuggets in the playoffs? The answer is obviously no. What an insane, asinine question. First off, number one, okay, you would want to play the Nuggets early on in the series because that's when you know LeBron and AD are going to be at their healthiest and at their freshest. So theoretically, your best chance to beat the Nuggets would be right now, okay? So that's number one. Number two, you think that a competitor, you want to go into that locker room, and whether you're LeBron or the GM or the coach or whoever, you want to say, hey, you know what? It's probably better that we lose, right? You want to send that message that we're going to actually try to lose these games because we're afraid of these other teams. That's not how you go into the playoffs. And you think the Nuggets, with potentially the MVP Jokic and the reigning championships and the reigning finals MVP Jokic, the Nuggets, that they're going to go into the playoffs afraid of the Clippers or of any of these other teams? Like, what are you talking about right now? They're not thinking that they're afraid of anyone. The mentality that you go into the playoffs is and always, we can beat any team, no matter who we're facing. Even if you know you're going up against a juggernaut, you still have the mentality of we can beat them, not we have to try to avoid them. Ooh, we have to try to avoid them. Ooh, what can we do? Hopefully they'll just lose so we don't have to play them. These guys are the alphas of the alphas. And you think that that's the mentality that you're going to try to have spread throughout the locker room? I mean, it's just so insane. Even if you're LeBron James and you're smart enough to know, all right, it would be better off. It would be better if we do not face the Nuggets in the grand scheme of things. It would be great if they just lose and we don't have to face them. That obviously would help us. But that's one of those thoughts that pops in your head that you don't really linger on, that you don't really go, oh, God, I really hope the Nuggets lose. Or I hope they really win so we don't have to play them. You just think it, whatever, and then you move on. It's not something that then, gets watered and grows in sunshine and now it becomes a massive garden. That's not the way it works. It goes in your head and out the other. So this whole idea that there's going to be this strategy or that the Nuggets lost on purpose, like Shannon was saying so confidently that the Nuggets lost on purpose, but then in the same breath said that the Lakers did not and will not do that. So the Lakers aren't afraid, who are all old, and LeBron's like 40, and the reigning champions and the MVP, 2-time MVP, maybe 3-time MVP, Jokic, are afraid. Please make that make sense for me. Please. Because I cannot make sense of that outside of just nonsense bias on Shannon Sharpe's behalf. I mean, like, I think this is comical. This just goes to show you why NFL's king. Because in the NFL, especially during the season, and especially going into the playoffs, there's no manufactured topics to discuss. There's no forced topics. Even when it's the Super Bowl and we have 2 weeks of talking about the same 2 teams, there's still plenty of content to talk about. Still plenty of topics. But with basketball, we're fighting for things to talk about to the point where we say, should the Lakers try to avoid the Nuggets in the playoffs? This is on, one of, if not the most popular sports show in the world, and this is the topic. And again, I love these shows, right? That's why I have my channel. I'm a huge fan of these shows. That's why I watch them. But this is part of, what JJ kind of called out, and he was definitely right on this part but this is to me more of an issue of the NBA rather than just sports talk shows as a whole. Because these topics can be fun, right? They can be fun to discuss and break down, and I love hypotheticals and thought experiments. If we put Josh Allen on this team, would he win? Like, I love that stuff. I really, really do. So I'm not anti that. But a question like this, to me, is more embarrassing, and it's more of an indictment on we struggle to figure out interesting topics to talk about with basketball. We're into the playoffs, the play-in tournament. We should have plenty of things to discuss. This should maybe be in a podcast when you're talking for 2 hours and you're just kind of going through, you're just kind of hitting all the beats, and you're like, eventually you reach the point where you're talking about, should the Lakers try to avoid the Nuggets? And your co-host starts laughing and says, I don't know, he probably should. And then, you go back and forth. That makes sense. But if you're on mainstream television on ESPN and this is the topic that you're discussing, I don't know what to tell you. Right? You even invite the guest on, Wendy, and this is what you're talking about. And he has to be the voice of reason to say, absolutely not. You think the Nugget, he's telling Shanahan, Shanahan, oh my God. Hopefully I wasn't saying Shanahan throughout this clip. Shannon Sharpe, that, he has to tell the professional athlete, the Hall of Famer, about competition. Boy, you are in trouble. When Wendy has to educate the Hall of Famer, how this works. Oh my God. I don't even know. I'm dumbfounded by this. I'm really, really dumbfounded because I just can't believe that this is, one, even a topic, and two, that we have such uneven takes like this coming out of like Shannon Sharpe or Stephen A, for that matter. It's just absurd. It really, really is. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think the Lakers should try to avoid the Nuggets in the playoffs? And do you think the Nuggets did lose on purpose? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with the visibility and the algorithm, and it really does help combat all the haters and the trolls. Thank you so much, and see you next time.